Fusion Patrol all began on a sofa in 1992. We were watching television, changing channels, and we came across this program, and there were these boys, I guess you could call them that, they're teenagers, scrumpy clothes, no sound, heavy wind blowing in the background. They were standing on a semi-constructed building, and they were taking turns getting up, spitting, chain smoking, and reciting something which we later turned out to be were lyrics from heavy metal songs. Fortunately, David was able to identify that. No one else recognized them, but you could barely hear it anyway. And we got up screaming, "Surely we can do better than this. I own a camcorder. We're a lot smarter than these people. Let's go do it." And a year or so later, we got off our butts and started to work on it.
Most of these shows that are on TV nowadays, on public access, that's all they do. The guys get the camera, they sit on the couch, they think they're so cool, look at me, I'm so hip. And then they just sit there, they talk, well, let's watch TV and review it. And it just comes off as idiotic, so we decided to just make a parody of that at the same time.
Fusion Patrol has gone through a lot of genesis since its original conception. We originally thought of it as a program to inform local science fiction people about events going on because we didn't think that anybody was doing a good job of that. And we thought there would be some interest. We started off, and what we produced was muddy quality video, poor sound, atrocious editing. It was awful. It would look like a group of guys got together with a camcorder who didn't know what they were doing, and they did it.
There was one time we came up with a great skit idea, at least I thought it was a great skit idea, and Eugene thought it was good too. And I thought, hey, what if we filmed this like overseas, like in Taiwan? And he thought, well, hey, let's go for it, but there is a problem here. You're gonna have to pay your own way. And well, since I came up with that idea, I thought, hey, okay, I'm gung-ho for it, I will pay my way. So we fly all the way over there, it's like a 15-hour trip.
That was different. That was a really long flight, 16 hours over. It was much faster coming back, 10. Boy, we were really cramped in that plane. Once we got over there were stairs everywhere. It was a lot of walking.
The skit ended up taking place out in the middle of the lake. We're out on the boat, ready to say our lines, and I'm saying, okay, just give me the script, Eugene. And then Eugene's like, what script are you talking about? So that kind of threw a spanner in that works.
A very beautiful country, though. We really enjoyed ourselves.
Oh, they're a bunch of slobs. But they're basically good slobs at heart. They're there when they need to be, 5 times out of 10.
The one key thing to always notice with Fusion Patrol, though, is never miss a shoot. Because if you miss a shoot, what they're going to come up with in the script, what Eugene's going to usually come up with, is going to probably be very embarrassing for you when you show up next time.
Somehow I ended up being stuck in a bathroom, though. I guess that's what I get for being late or not being able to make one particular session, so I get to be stuck in a bathroom. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
They're incredibly talented when they're sober. They're a pretty good group. They're out here doing this for no money. They're doing it just for the fun of it. And sometimes it is fun. They've got a lot of gumption to get out there and do what they do week after week, year after year, to get themselves in front of the public, make utter fools of themselves, and myself included, and get back up each day and know that the world is kicking them behind their backs, and do it again and again.
Well, the Reverend Joe skit sort of had a very strange genesis to it. I remember Eugene wanted to do a skit where he was kind of slamming religion or something along those lines, and I felt a little bit uncomfortable with it, so at one point I think it was on the internet, and someone made some comment about a Church of Joe, and I had this idea for doing a sort of a televangelist bit, so I did this skit.
It has made me irritable, tired, and cranky. What more, it has made me commit the most heinous of sins. I have watched Star Trek and enjoyed it. I have sinned. Please forgive me. It has made my eyesight poor. My growth has been stunted. And I've had this strange hair grow on my right hand.
No.
Really? Are you sure?
Absolutely.
No wonder I've been having trouble walking lately.
That whole Nathanic Church of Joe thing started for quite a few reasons. One, because we just felt that he was just a little too self-important.
It caused people to actually hurt themselves in the test audiences. They would leap up, grab forks, poke themselves in the eyes. It was an interesting experiment in television.
We, I think, offended quite a few, to say the least, and I thought it was rather funny, but needless to say, they weren't a happy bunch. So we were right off the heels of Jerry's Kids Can Cook Too, so we thought, hey, wouldn't it look funny if Harlan Ellison looked like Timmy? So I got to play Harlan Ellison, worshiping Joe.
I thought it'd be kind of funny to have a Harlan Ellison type character in the episode. And the first person that came to mind was to have Morgan play the part in sort of an a la Timmy role as he did in an earlier Fusion Patrol episode. So I had him do the Harlan bit, and I decided it'd be kind of funny if Harlan slipped up at one point and made some glowing positive reference towards Star Trek, and I would just proceed to kick the stuffing out of him.
Ben got to have the fortunate part of kicking the crap out of me and got a little too into it and actually made contact with my ribs at one point. It was rather painful, and so I was glad to be able to kind of get my revenge in Fusion Patrol 1999, so I got to kick him back, and that was a particularly pleasant episode to film. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Little did I realize that was going to come back to haunt me in this new Fusion Patrol 1999. I suppose you could give that episode a bit of a secondary title known as Morgan's Revenge, because he gets to kick me in the ribs pretty nicely after I supposedly die.
Take that, and that, and that. That's for that stupid Reverend Joe skid.
And I also get to beat the crap out of him again when we fight over the pizza. I was glad to get my revenge there.
We did about 6 takes of that, I think. I can't remember anymore. And I think one good reason I can't remember is because when the very final take, my head actually made contact with Morgan's knee. It wasn't really hard to knock me out, but it was enough to kind of daze me a little bit. So when you see me fall and I had this sort of glassy look in my eyes, it's because that's exactly how I felt.
We've been doing this so long now that we can't help but get better. And our first improvement was that we decided that a microphone was probably a good idea. And we picked up a microphone and it didn't work. So we spent another few episodes with a bad microphone, which is probably worse than no mic at all.
Matt, are you with us today?
Well, yeah.
Thank you. Suggestions?
Well, the acting on Babylon 4 sucked.
Then we discovered, and this is a phenomenal, amazing technological achievement, it's called the white balance.
Golly, Mr. Kent, did you hear? Superman just saved the city for the 100th time from Lex Luthor. I mean, it's so amazing. This guy is so great. He chose our city to live in. I can't believe Mr. Kent, you got a big...
Once we hit the white balance, suddenly those pasty, muddy walls that we had sort of faded away and became bright, cheerful, and our people stopped looking sort of jaundiced. Lights were a good invention too. That Edison guy really was onto something when he came up with that. Once we started using lights, then we really got an improvement there. We've spent a lot of time reading, studying video making and filmmaking techniques to try to learn the secrets of the professionals. And I cannot put too much credit on John Kittlesrud, our director of photography.
Well, after seeing the older episodes of Fusion Patrol, I thought to myself, well, these guys need a lot of help. So I thought I'd lend a hand and see if I could help out. And I hope I've made some sort of a difference. Hopefully for the better.
The way my character is being developed so far in Fusion Patrol 1999, he's accident prone, pure and simple. He's always getting himself into some sort of trouble, which seems to lead to his eventual death. Not something I'm very happy about.
He's dead!
My character is the only sane member of the crew. For example, Ben's character is this accident-prone schlep that has a bionic liver that causes him to expel noxious gases.
I also know that down the road there's going to be a lot of bodily functions taking place with my character. It kind of makes me sit back and wonder, as much as I enjoy working with the show, and maybe it's just me, but I kind of get this funny feeling that Eugene likes to invent the most bizarre, most torturous jokes and have them inflicted on me.
Morgan is a craven coward that faints at the drop of a hat.
Well, he's a very masculine type person with a lot of intestinal fortitude, willing to stand up and do what needs to be done unless it becomes a little bit too difficult, and then he kind of gives out a little bit. Beyond that, I'm not real sure. It's still kind of early, and I'm looking forward to see how I develop.
Egad!
David is a sadistic, bloodthirsty killer that wants nothing more than to run around and beat people up.
And my character in FP 1999. Yeah, bloodthirsty is a good word to come to mind, especially in the first episode. I mean, the whole premise at the very beginning is like I've gone, 20 minutes without a piece of pizza. There's a pizza that shows up, and I go spastic over it. I mean, I'm just attacking everybody. I mean, blood spewing everywhere and everything. It's just for a piece of pizza. I just don't understand, where my character is going to go. I'm assuming he's going to get toned down a little bit in the future, but we'll have to wait and see on that.
Jeff's following right behind him, trying to bury them.
Well, he's a little sadistic. He's obsessed with burying people, whether they're dead or not, just so long as they're ready to go. Now that Ben's not dead anymore,
Yes?
should we still bury him?
John is going off the deep end of techno worship.
Well, I think I play the part of the eccentric scientist.
What's all this then? It's my new K drive. I was going to call it the Kittlesrud drive, but I figured nobody could spell it or say it. What's it for? And what happened? Well, it's my new cheap, safe, and effective space propulsion drive. I thought it'd be better if we got some authentic video of the Earth from orbit.
So far, I'm the only woman in the show, and I don't really get any part inside at all.
4,300 cans of Hydrospan.
Check. What's Hydrospan?
According to the can, it's an all-new meat spiced product from the makers of Span.
Sounds yummy.
I see my character as the sort of atomic force that holds them together, that binds this this group into a cohesive whole, and of course it's my house, so I pretty much have to put up with these people or kick them out if I can find a way.
Look at you! Is this what's in store for us? Fighting and scrapping like animals? At each other's throats for all eternity? Like it or not, we're mankind's ambassadors into the universe. We have to put our best foot forward and show to the universe that mankind isn't just an unthinking, brutish animal.
There's a television program on public access, and it's called Kids Can Cook Too. And it's probably the best produced of the programs that you will see locally done. But it is tediously boring because they don't let the kids play with the knives. They get them out there on the premise that they're going to get to cook this food, and then, we're going to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich today, and don't use the knife, I'll do that for you. It's like what the kids get to do is take the bread out of the bag. We thought, how could we bring a twist to that? And so we thought, what the most famous kids there are, Jerry's Kids. And David and Morgan were custom made to play these parts.
I don't know if I can talk much about that one, especially about Timmy. That was a spiteful period of my life. We were in a particularly nasty, ornery mood that day, and somebody said, hey, let's do something with cheese balls. So we took some cheese balls and thought, wouldn't it be funny if we could mash the cheese balls? And why would we mash the cheese balls? Well, I suppose that really didn't make a whole lot of difference, but we thought, wouldn't it look funny if these poor little devils just couldn't do anything but pound on the table? So thus Timmy was born.
And we thought, what kind of food would be really good? Not a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but what would be really good? And we came up with, Peking duck. And of course, at that time, none of us had the slightest clue what was in Peking duck. Some of us thought there might be duck in it, but we weren't really sure. So we just grabbed whatever had been handy, and that happened to be a big can of cheese balls. And it took on a life of its own from there.
Well, I'm happy Morgan did such a good job on that. I did a little bit of the character. I think Morgan stole the show with that one, though. It's not a very popular segment with the fans. Everybody seems to complain about it. I think we were a bit cruel there. I mean, we thought it was hilarious at the time. I mean, even during the filming, Eugene, when he was playing Jerry, he'd run in there and he'd just start cracking up watching us, smashing the cheese balls.
And needless to say, I could not show my face around my own home. My significant other was not too terribly proud of that moment, so we don't talk about it very much.
But I think Morgan does a better job than I did. 200% better than me. So all the focus is on him, and everybody hates him, and nobody remembers me at all.
What we do is a form of comedy which is called satire. And not many people have heard of this form of comedy, and a lot of people don't appreciate it. But we've dredged this out. There was a philosopher called Satyrus who was an ancient Greek, and he developed this sense of humor. And we resurrected it from some books we found at the library. And after reading them, we thought, this is the kind of humor for us.
I'm not entirely sure how this came about. I think we were just sitting around the table like we always do, and Eugene had this great idea for, how about if we just do this Fusion Patrol news segment that dates back to 1976 or 77, something like that. And I remember we went and pulled out I think they were all of Eugene's old Starlog magazines, just looking for stories that we could use in this episode. Now for Fusion Patrol News. The big news. Filming for Star Trek The Motion Picture, Paramount's long-awaited movie treatment of Star Trek is due to begin filming on August 7th. And unlike the proposed Star Trek TV series, everybody in the cast is returning for this movie. And then to make it even funnier, we found an old Star Trek jacket that I put on. I had a bunch of sci-fi patches in. And I was borrowing these glasses, not these, but another pair of glasses that from someone who shall remain nameless. But let's just say that they made me look like a total geek. And I ended up parting my hair in the middle. And we were just trying to play my character off as being one hell of a 1970s nerd. The real sad part about that is that the glasses I was wearing, they were prescription glasses, and I could not read a bloody thing out of these. So Eugene, in order to kind of save the skit, he wrote out the entire news story in the script form, and he had to use a font that must have been like size 40 or something, so I could be able to read it as I was doing the news bit. And about halfway through, I found myself getting seriously sick to my stomach because everything was very distorted, and I kind of blew it a little bit towards the end. Luckily, most people didn't notice it. I mean, it's kind of funny to look back at today, but it's not something I want to revisit.
Snorkel Dudes, I don't really remember how that came about. We were trying to make fun of the scuba guys or scuba dudes or whoever they were that was on public access. And it was just an excuse to use Eugene's pool, I think. We were sitting there talking about how we were going to do it because they were really the really annoying surfer type dudes. So we thought, hey, let's do our own. And so we sat down, and Jeff and I decided, hey, you know, we look like the ones that could be probably the most disgusting looking in a bathing suit. So we sat down and started Scuba Dudes. And the first line, I was supposed to be Ditch, and he was supposed to be Zed. And I don't know, we worked it over a couple of times, and first time out of his mouth he got the name wrong, and it just kind of fell apart from there. And after that we thought it would be pretty cool to look like we didn't know what we were doing, and it didn't take a whole lot to act like we didn't know what we were doing.
Hello, I'm Ditch. No man, I'm Ditch. You're Ditch? You're Zed. God, I'm Zed. I'm Ditch. And we're the Snorkel Dudes.
That's kind of tough. That would be the Snorkel Dude segment we did for the Limp Cable Awards. It had to do with a song in Pig Latin. Mac the Knife was the name of the song. Went something like this. And we the Arkshites be, with we ye in the Eeps cam ye, early pay way.
We got out in the backyard to actually film the part in the water. And I jumped in the pool and I flipped. I don't know what happened when I went underwater. I flipped and I took a big old lung full of water and started coughing right at the end. If you kind of watch it, you can kind of hear me choke there at the end of it. Wasn't my particularly favorite piece, but now it's the Snorkel Dudes.
Alright, we're the Snorkel Dudes, and we're out here at Lake Tahoe, and man, we're gonna snorkel! Right, dude! Let's snorkel! Woo! Snorkeling, man!